My name is Matthew Kemps. I'm the founder of Full and Wolf Realty Group at Spyglass Realty, and this is
Matt Kirschling with Gold Star Mortgage.
Two Mats One Market. All right, Matt. Let's start the conversation with what is going on with the NAR lawsuit, and what do you see coming to fruition from it?
Well, I went down the rabbit hole with this over the last few days, and the one thing that I've identified that I don't think anyone is talking about as much is as a buyer's agent, you're basically selling a home with a commission that is already negotiated by the seller.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously I'm a salesperson, right? And I have to stand by the interest rates and closing costs and programs and products that we provide. So if someone were to pre-negotiate all of that for me, and then I just kind of step in and close the deal, it is debatable that me and the individual that pre-negotiated all of the terms and conditions of the loan were on the same team.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole idea of having a buyer's agent and a seller's agent is to create a divide between the buyer and the seller.
Mm-hmm.
So I see how that can appear to be a little bit of a conflict. From my experience dealing in thousands of transactions with real estate agents, that's not what's going on.
Yep.
The money is there, and these agents are definitely working to do what's best for their clients, but I can see how it can be illustrated in that way and then digested in that way. So that is what I think is how the whole lawsuit in terms of the jury was able to rule against the National Association of Real Estate Agents. What it means to agents, I mean, there's a lot of speculation, but I think...
Before you go there, let's
Yeah.
backtrack. Let's tell everyone what actually happened in case they don't know.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So basically what ended up happening was that there was a lawsuit in Kansas City to where we had people who were selling homes that ultimately wanted to sue the National Association of Real Estate, along with some large brokerages, Keller Williams being one of them, ultimately stating that they didn't know. They were claiming ignorance, basically. They did not know that they did not have to pay for the buyer's agent's commissions. They felt, or they were told supposedly that was mandatory, that they had to pay for the buyer's agent's commissions. And then in addition to that, also were basically told that, there was no negotiations,
Mm-hmm.
that this fee was set by the National Association of Real Estate and therefore Realtors, excuse me. And therefore, sellers just kind of went, okay, well, if this is what it's going to cost and there's no negotiating it, then I guess it is what it is. That was what the suit was about. Jury did rule in favor of the plaintiff, which were the sellers, ultimately stating that they could see that there was a conflict of interest based on what I just covered. And there were other things that were, talked about during that case, which we can get into if you like.
I'll get you on NAR's response. NAR is National Association of Realtors.
Yeah.
They responded with, the association says it will continue to advocate the pro-consumer, pro-competition, and MLS rules. And then, in presenting their case, the plaintiffs argued buyer representation is obsolete and should only be afforded to wealthy buyers who can pay for the services out of pocket. They also alleged that the commission rates are too high, buyer brokers are being paid too much, and NAR rules, along with the corporate defendants' practices, lead to fixed pricing. Thoughts?
I mean, in my opinion, I think this is a little extreme on NAR. I don't think that is what the plaintiffs were trying to say. But again, it's like anything. I mean, we got to find a middle ground,
Mm-hmm.
right? The two things that, just to play devil's advocate, the two things that I see were, number one, what I just covered, where it is difficult when you treat it as like a philosophical problem to argue that listing agents are negotiating commissions for buyer's agents. That's tough to dispel.
Mm-hmm.
The other one that's tough to dispel that they talked about is that as a real estate agent, that gains you access to the MLS, which is the system that real estate agents look at to find homes in live feed that are on the market and for sold, to look at comparable sales. Basically, it's a program that allows them to do their job.
MLS stands for Multiple Listing Service.
Correct. One of the features of the multiple listing service is that it shows what commissions were already pre-negotiated for a buyer's agent on a particular property. And so I can also see how that does create a little bit of a conflict, because at the end of the day, profit is not a dirty word. We do not work for free. And as a real estate agent, it is very difficult to look at maybe 10 homes that fit your client's needs, where 8 of them are going to pay you more money than maybe 2 others that are offering a lower commission. You are definitely going to be more inclined to show your clients the ones that are going to pay you more as a buyer's agent than maybe the ones that won't.
But that's not acting as a fiduciary.
Correct. I mean, it's not the right thing to do. I'm not saying that agents are, sitting in their secret layers like, we're going to, but you can see how it could create an issue. So those were the 2 things that I kind of sided with the plaintiffs on. Outside of that, a lot of what, NAR has said here, I agree with. I mean, it is a little dramatic, but like only wealthy people can afford a buyer's agent. Like, there has been no ruling or change in the rules as how they're going to handle that, because I think that we can all agree it would be very irresponsible to force buyers to go out and try to purchase homes on their own. These contracts are very lengthy. Lawsuits happen on a regular basis. And at the end of the day, I am fearful for people who are selling homes to unrepresented buyers. Like, that to me, here, I think people are looking at the money side of it. If you're selling a home, you're like, wait a minute, I didn't have to pay that buyer's commission. But at the end of the day, I would implore you to envision what it would be like dealing with an unrepresented buyer, what those all of this. And here's the interesting thing. You have sellers that are basically claiming ignorance, going, we didn't know. Oh, and it's in the contract, right? It's all there. You see on the last page of any real estate contract the negotiated commissions that are associated with you selling your home. And I know we don't all read the fine print and everything along those lines, but it's very difficult to me to hear the seller side claim ignorance, but then they want to eliminate commissions to save themselves money and then sell homes to unrepresented buyers, completely unrepresented. What do you think those lawsuits are going to look like when buyers buy homes and say, I didn't know? Well, no shit, you didn't know. You were a completely unrepresented buyer, because people don't work for free. So I don't envision like buyer's agents going away. I don't think that anyone thinks buyer's agents are obsolete, which is what NAR has said here. I think that's totally like, an exaggeration. But what I do see is I definitely see buyer's agents having to show their worth, having to negotiate their commissions, having to create transparency with their buyers and saying, look, like, here's what we charge, here's what we make, and justifying those costs. Because the part that sticks with me too is like, oh, well, the plaintiffs are saying that buyers, brokers are being paid too much money. What does that even mean? Too much money in comparison to what? The cost of a gallon of milk?
Exactly.
Cost of a car? Like, value is what you pay for. And I agree that if the market is going to dictate buyer's agents making less money because maybe there are buyer's agents that would be willing to do their job for less, then let the market work itself out. Like, why do we need the government to step in and say, here's how much a real estate agent should be making? Because I relate it to like home improvements.
Yeah.
Like, are we going to now require that like contractors are binded to a certain profitability percentage? Are we going to require that when you get a quote from your contractor that there's a
Set margin.
cost of supplies list and they have to show their margins? I mean, it's insane. It literally is insane. And I think this is a step in the wrong direction for not only real estate, but all businesses, which is what we talk about on here. It's real estate related and it's entrepreneurial related, because we've had financial advisors, CPAs, insurance companies, builders. What do you really think it's necessary that the government step in and start dictating what you're allowed to charge for your services?
Absolutely not. I can tell you where I think this is going to go. You can correct me if I'm wrong in any of this, but I think it's going to come into a state where on Zillow, Realtor.com, and all the sites, it's going to be a public disclosure of what the listing agreement states the buyer commission is.
Sure,
You're probably going to see that. And if another step forward, it may move to a fixed price, not percentage base of commission. So, like, let's say, for example, your average commission in a real estate transaction currently, if you just go across the board, median price point is $15,000. Whether you sell a home, I hate this because it's going to affect my own income, but I think this is going to it's going to hurt lower priced homes. It's going to help higher priced homes, which then again, it's also people are going to fight. This is helping the rich. It's a fixed price commission of $15,000 across the board.
Well, I wouldn't even put a number on it as far as like industry standard, because we do this in my business. I mean, I have flashbacks of, you know, our business in 2009 when Dodd-Frank came out. And one of the things, there's a lot of things I could touch on that are similar, but one of the things that we do is we set caps. I mean, you guys do that in real estate as well, where like there's a cap on the commission and you can come in and say, hey, I charge 2% or a cap of
kind of,
you know, $20,000. And so if you're selling
you can do that. No one's okay.
No one's telling you can't.
Yeah, we definitely can.
Right.
No one's using that.
Right.
Austin Board of Realtors has had several seminars talking about how we can use that, and we can also do it where we're basically setting a retainer.
Right.
You can also do that.
But here's what's interesting about this, and this is what kind of, you know, makes me laugh at the real estate community, is the reason why no one does that is because as buyer's agents, you don't have to negotiate any sort of commissions or anything like that. It's already been done for you. So now there's seminars on ways for buyer's agents to finally actually do what I've gotten really dirty looks when I stand up in front of real estate agents and do presentations and talk about selling homes, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is a sales business. You are selling homes. Yes, you're educating. Yes, you're, you know, hand-holding and guiding and everything along those lines. But there is also a sales aspect to this.
100%.
And as a buyer's agent, I feel like sometimes the reason why a lot of people, especially early on in their career, gravitate towards the buy side, because in their mind, they are not charging anything. They are being paid once the deal closes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this like, you know, mindset, right? On the buy side, we're like, well, I'm not charging you anything. Like,
no, here's the funny part though. If someone refers to me as a buyer's agent, it's a stigma that I hate.
right.
Like it's a stigma to me where it feels like, oh, you don't think I really work that hard, do you?
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
not to say that buyer's agents don't work hard because you have to drive around everywhere.
but you're not really selling as much,
Bingo.
right?
You're not
just not.
I know we're not just opening doors. We are negotiating. We are doing those things. Majority of my commissions are being paid as the listing agent. But when I have scenarios where it's a buy-sell scenario, I will say, and I'll admit this, the buy scenario is easier. Selling is, I have to sell when I'm on the listing side.
Yeah.
I have to actually sell. I have to follow up. I have to reverse prospect. I have to get the listing created. I have to run comps. I have to understand where everything's at. I have to communicate with the seller. I have to ensure title's open. There's a bunch of processes I have to go through where instead on the buy side, it's, do you like this home? Okay, great. Let me run the comps, make sure your offer is valid. Then we'll start some negotiations. I'll tell you how to put together a contract. Oh, cool. The contract was accepted. All right, I'm going to hand it off to my transaction coordinator now. Good luck. Have fun.
Right. Well, and I think that it's going to be interesting. First of all, my personal opinion is not much is going to change except for some added disclosures, and
Mhm.
buyers are going to be required to get the exclusive buyers agreements that I have been literally, and you know it, have been screaming at the top of my lungs. And everyone's like, "Oh, I would never do that. Why would I get that signed? What if my buyers don't want to work with me?" Like, you're not being transparent. That's why.
Mm-hmm.
That's why. You're not explaining.
You're also adding on to that, you're going to lock in your clients and not get the ones that just walk away from you after showing 1, 2, or 3.
Right.
Which is huge because I can't tell you how many times I'm guilty of this myself where I don't want to force an agreement on somebody, especially on a Zilly where I just first met them. If it's a referral, no problem. I'm going to present you the agreement. We both have an understanding that you're going to work with me. On the Zillow side, it's like, okay, you need to learn who I am. I need to learn who you are. Do I want to work with you? Do you want to work with me? And I test the waters the first time. And then once we get there, the agreement comes out because I don't want to give them an agreement if I don't want to work with them either. So it's a fine line right now. But when it gets set in place, like if we're saying it does get set in place, it's going to be a weird scenario with internet leads because, say, for example, I have a scenario where I have an agreement with this guy and I'm working with him and I'm a fiduciary. What if we don't get along?
Right.
That's where I think it's going to get weird. Like, let's say Joe hates my ass. Like,
Well, you can always fire a client. I mean,
You can, but it's still then it's like, okay, we have to go through the process of if he wants to see homes and wants to write an offer. He's like, I hate Matt. I hate Joe.
Well, I think in that situation, I mean, that's when you cut ties, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you have a working relationship that isn't working out. But I do see this weeding out a lot of the onesie twosie real estate agents that are in the business, because I do think that this is going to hurt overall margins in your business.
Mm-hmm.
But what I think it's going to do is I think it's going to increase market share for good agents. And I think those agents that, and I talk about these agents quite a bit, and it's hard for me not to, the agent that's like, I'm good with just closing like 4 or 5 transactions and, making like $60,000, $70,000 a year. Like,
Not gonna happen.
it's not going to happen. And those agents are going to be the ones that are going to tell you, yeah, I got out of real estate because, you just can't make any money anymore in real estate. And it's like, really? Because I see a lot of people doing it. But yeah, it's going to kill that margin compression. And I think that, to the plaintiff's defense, like, oh, real estate agents make too much money. It's like, I don't know, man. I mean, I watch agents close like 2 or 3 deals a year. If you think that making $10,000 on a transaction is too many, but you only close 3, like, you can do the math. It's not easy to find a client, get them under contract, do all the things. It's a tough gig.
Talking about margins too, 70. We were looking at this last night. 76% of our contracts have a referral agreement in place, whether it's an internet lead or a referral back to an agent. So our margins are already cut there. We're already paying usually 20 to 30% in referral there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if we cut commissions even more, so say, for example, we were at 3, now we're at, say, example, we're at 2. Now we're at 2% of 30, and taking off the 30% referral, so now I'm making 70% of 2%. When, let's go back years of what we had in real estate, we're making 3% with a referral in place. It's completely different. That's thousands of dollars different.
I have a controversial thing that I may regret bringing up, but I've been thinking about with this as well. One of the things I talk about is brokerages, right? Not real estate agents, but actual brokerages. And the reason I say this is because it's ironic that Keller Williams was one of the ones that kind of got nailed in all of this.
It's so funny, the ones that got nailed, I'm so glad they got nailed.
Well, and maybe what I'm about to say is the reason why. Like, there are certain brokerages out there that ultimately talk very much to how simple real estate is. There's no investment in it in terms of like starting your business. You've just got to work your sphere of influence. You have to just, network and do all of these things. And there's a lot of brokerages that will literally hire anybody with a license.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, we always talk about the joke, like, all I have to do is walk into a room and say, I could literally be at a restaurant and get up and with the bullhorn and say, raise your hand if you're a real estate agent. I promise you, 10% of the people in that room will raise their hand.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's 40 people in that restaurant, there's 4 agents that are sitting there. And I think that these brokerages are the reason why they've muddied the waters. This is how you have been able to find these like agents that close 1 or 2 deals a year, because these brokerages, they don't care if you close 1 deal or 10 deals. Like, they're making their money either way. So they're like, hey, it's so easy. Come on in. Give us all your contacts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Write it on a list. And if you crush it as an agent, they profit. And if you don't, well, they've got all your contacts,
Yep.
right? And so what do agents do? Now it's even gotten to the point, I won't name the brokerages, where there's real estate agents out there that they do a little bit of business, but they're so vested in what they call their downline. They're not even really trying to close real estate. They want you to come work for the cloud. Look at how amazing it is. I see all these promo videos from real estate agents talking about how amazing their brokerage is. Well, newsflash, they just want you to work for their agency so that they can make money on your transactions as well.
These are also public companies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and so then I take it to the third tier, right? Then the third tier is, so you've got brokerages that'll hire anybody. You're encouraging real estate agents to hire anybody so they can get paid on it. So what's the best way to convince people that real estate is lucrative? You get on there, you talk about the flexibility that it provides, you post yourself going on vacations, you're taking pictures of your fucking Ferrari. I mean, you know what I'm talking about, right? And there's so much bullshit, right?
Yep.
And now you're surprised that through internet, social media, and all of this, and just the flooding of everybody that has a cousin, brother, uncle, sister, spouse as a real estate agent, you're surprised that the general public went, you know what? Fuck these real estate
Yep.
agents. Like, you did this to yourself.
Yep.
You couldn't just make money and be professional and, do the right things. You had to convince everybody that real estate was a no-brainer. You had to convince everybody to get licensed. You had to show off your vacations, show off your Ferraris. Oh, and I know who you are, Mr. Team lead. You're going to be like, this is from my hard work. Keep it to yourself, man. You're not trying to boast about your hard work to pat yourself on the back. You're doing it to recruit.
Mm-hmm.
That is why you're doing it. So let's keep it real. This lawsuit, you did it to yourself.
Yep, completely. Man, we just got them fired up.
Oh, man, I've been just thinking so much about this lately. I really have.
Okay, let's get it's another scenario in this. Is there a chance that an availability for lenders to build in the buyer's commission into financing?
Of course, 100%, and that's what I envision will happen.
Okay, so how's that look?
So basically all it is seller concessions, right? You can utilize seller concessions towards any sort of closing costs or prepaids. A real estate agent's commission is definitely going to be one of those. So what I envision happening, if they really do cut out any sort of commissions that are given by the seller, which I don't think will happen, but let's just say it does. Let's just say a seller's like, I heard about that lawsuit. I ain't paying no buyer's commission. Like, okay, well, we might not get as many people here, but that's fine. That's a whole nother topic.
Yeah.
Right? But what I envision happening is that you as a buyer's agent, let's say the house is listed at $500,000 and you've already agreed to pay your buyers have already agreed to pay call it 2%, call it 3% commission.
The buyer's agreeing to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's in writing.
Yep.
It's done before they even view the house.
Yep.
You're basically telling your buyer.
But for the record, it's in the buyer rep agreement. They state how much of the commission is going to be paid, and if the seller is not willing to pay that the buyer is responsible for paying that.
Correct. And so, as a real estate agent, you're explaining to your buyer now, hey, if we want to, get this house for $500,000, we need to write an offer at $515,000 with $15,000 seller concessions in order to cover my commissions, which is ultimately what's happening anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And so the only issue with that is the appraisal.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why any listing agent would be like, well, I'm kind of concerned, this house has to appraise, so on and so forth. And here is where I envision the margin compression coming in, where if homes are appraising, no harm, no foul, no one's going to care. If homes aren't appraising, I envision my job becoming a lot more difficult because it's my appraiser. Being facetious here.
Can we also pause on this topic? Can we clarify that for everybody, how the AMCs work?
Yeah, so AMCs stand for Appraisal Management Companies. They were basically put forth in lending right around 2009 by George W. Bush, right around the whole Dodd-Frank thing. The idea was you had third-party management companies that their sole source of employment was to do nothing but take appraisal orders from lending institutions and then at random choose appraisers to do the appraisal. So we never get to pick the appraiser. We never get to have a relationship with the appraiser. So when we order that appraisal through an AMC, they ultimately go into like a little bit of a lottery. I mean, these appraisals are local. It's not like, some random guy from, out of 2 cities or 3 cities away, but they're done and I have no control over my appraiser or the appraisal management company. If I did, I would be heavily fined, potentially even imprisoned.
Okay, but is it very valid that there's a lot of appraisers that I potentially end up knowing, and I can provide them comps, and I can provide them a discussion of what's going on with the property and give them basically do their job up front so they know what to expect when they go to the property?
Yeah, I've had 2 appraisers on here.
Yeah.
And one of the things that was interesting to me is what you just described. Both of them actually prefer. However, the way you go about it, both of them were complete opposites.
Okay.
It was kind of interesting. So the one appraiser said, I love it when the real estate agent leaves comparable sales. They can even meet me at the property, show me all of the things that they think. That was the way that one appraiser preferred it.
Mm-hmm.
The other appraiser was like, if you're meeting me at the property, like I don't necessarily need you to be there. If you leave comparable sales like on the kitchen counter or something like that, I'm always taking them, but then they like find themselves in the back seat of my car. And so she said, I would prefer that real estate agents send me an email with their comparable sales to where I can get back to those and have them digitally.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
When I'm creating the report.
correct.
Yeah. Okay.
So going back to buyers' commissions and how they're going to be negotiated or financed into the purchase price, the only downside is that if you're finding this $500,000 home, writing it at 515,000, and then if it appraises, none of this isn't going to. It's going to be a moot point. But if homes don't appraise because buyers' commissions aren't in a position to be financed, that's when the real negotiations are going to start. Are you as a buyer's agent just going to go, okay, I'm going to reduce my commissions? Are you as a listing agent going to say, hey, you know what? I'll reduce my commissions? Are you as the agents going to negotiate some sort of maybe agreement to where you're like, hey, like I'll give up a little bit for you, you can give up a little bit for me? Or are we going to go to the buyers and say, hey, the difference between what is, negotiated and what we have to work with, you're going to have to come out of pocket with $2 extra $1,000 for me.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Okay. But now let's look at this on inflation side.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So prices are going to be increasing if we're going to be increasing sales prices and then putting settlement concessions basically into the contract.
Yep.
Do you see it that it's going to take time for those comps to catch up?
Kind of like what we saw in like 2020.
Okay. And then 2020, and then when we get to 2021, these prices are absurd.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get to now where we are, and it looks like we're actually in a depreciating market, but it's actually just leveling off, normalizing. Now, if we see prices increase, now you have a crystal ball, and neither do I. But if we do have that in place, let's say this is in 2026, 2027, you're going to see kind of a tick on pricing because of those concessions getting built in the contract. And do you see it as an option? So you can kind of see where I'm going with this.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see it as an option on the investing side if you can buy properties without commissions and you're buying it direct? Not to get into a really bad conversation here, but let's say you're buying it direct from a consumer, not full wholesale, but you're getting the market value. And let's say it's a licensed agent who's doing it, so they understand the contract and they understand what's going on. Do you see that there's a potential on a better flip scenario?
Well, investors are always typically trying to negotiate real estate commissions already.
Yep.
And this kind of goes back to the whole thing where I was eye rolling about, the plaintiffs saying like they didn't know any better.
Yeah.
Right. So like in this world, let's be honest, like anything you buy within reason, of course, is negotiable.
Mm-hmm.
So what would make you think that a commission in selling your home
It's not negotiable.
is non-negotiable?
Yeah.
Right. It to me is like ignorance is bliss type of thing. And we run into this with buyers and sellers all the time. So to your analogy, that's already happening with investors.
Okay.
Right. And what I'm interested to see, and I think I know the answer because we saw this in my business, 15 years ago through Dodd-Frank, is I think you're going to see a lot of people be a little boisterous when it comes to negotiating commissions because it's at the forefront of their mind right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you're going to see certain agents are going to, drop their commissions drastically. And I think that because of that, you're going to have a short period of time in the real estate market where real estate agents are doing deals for a lot less than what they're used to. That's going to force out lower agents. And it's going to create some very, very bad experiences for buyers and sellers because we all know, good real estate agents aren't cheap and cheap real estate agents aren't good.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that you're going to see a crazy correction. And what I mean by that is one of the things I'm envisioning is like, if I'm a listing agent and I have a buyer who just refuses to pay any sort of commissions to a buyer's agent. Number one, from a sales standpoint, I'm letting my seller know this is going to potentially reduce the amount of offers we're going to receive because agents aren't going to work for free. And then, yes, maybe we can come across a good agent that will be able to negotiate their own commission, but we're reducing our potential buyers.
Okay.
In addition to that, what I envision is we all know that we have an inventory issue.
Yep.
Right? So if a house goes on the market and it's priced correctly and it offers no commission to the buyer's agent and we get ourselves into a multiple offer situation, are you as a listing agent and a seller, are you going to feel more confident in the results of this transaction with a buyer's agent that is like, yeah, I'm doing this one for $500, or a buyer's agent that has said, here's my commissions, here's what we offer. And I think initially it's like, well, we don't care. I think you're going to find out real quick that you, as a buyer, are going to be reducing your chances of going under contract by using a buyer's agent that is charging a low commission, because the listing agent and the seller are both going to look at that and go, there's no way a good buyer's agent that is going to create a smooth transaction with a buyer who is serious is using a buyer's agent that's going to do this deal for $500.
Yep, I agree.
And you're going to be hurting yourself.
Also, to add, on the bottom, so the promulgated form we use is called the 1-to-4 family contract. At the bottom of that form, before the brokerage information, there is a portion where the buyer's agent puts in the commission that he's expecting from the seller to pay for him that goes onto the closing disclosure.
Correct.
So going back to our initial NAR conversation, where it doesn't feel like it's public knowledge of what's going on, I just like to say that the buyer and the seller are both signing a document stating that they know what the commission is for the buyer's agent on the contract. So it's not like they didn't know, and they knew from the listing agreement too.
Yeah, but they don't read it.
I understand, but
that's not our problem.
That's on the agent then.
Right.
It's on the agent to disclose what's going on with the contract. So going back to that, both parties should know what the commission is. Both parties should be able to agree to what the commission is. The agent states what his commission is, tells them what it is, especially if they're not explaining the entire contract that the buyer agent is writing for his buyers, that's on the agent again.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Okay. Going back to your point about inventory issue, do you think we're going to see more for sale by owners pop out from the conversation of not paying buyer commissions?
No.
Why?
For sale by owner?
No. Because you're going to get more people that are thinking that they don't have to pay commissions, and why are we using real estate agents? And there's a whole media outlook on it.
I think as a seller right now, you feel like you're going to get a better deal selling your home. In fact, I haven't even thought about this until this exact moment. Maybe this will increase people's confidence in selling. They're like, wait a minute, why can't I'll just find a real estate agent and save myself 3%.
Yeah.
Like deep discounts. Yeah. And I think that is short-term thinking for a long-term problem, but yeah, I just thought about that right now. I'm going to have to think more about that.
$1 million home is saving $30,000.
There it is. Save yourself that money. List today. Call Matt Kemps.
Please. God, it's great promo.
Right?
Yeah, list today. List today for 3%. Have
Yeah.
the buyer pay
No buyer. Yeah, buy. Right. We'll just negotiate it into the offer. I mean,
so
look,
we're listed at $1 million. We'll sell for $1,030,000. It's the same exact thing.
we saw this exactly. We saw this in my business as well with lending. We used to charge up front and all this stuff, and now we bake fees here and all of that. And at the end of the day, like, we're still making pretty close to the same money that we were making. It's just it's all verbiage, and it to me is it's what's the saying? The more things change, the more they stay the same.
Agreed. And then if we're looking at a visual on the ALTA or the closing disclosure, we want to call it what we're looking at. It's basically just moving the number from the seller paying the 6% commission, where it's going to say Banana Realty, and then it's going to say Orange Realty.
Yep.
Instead of it being all on the seller side, you're just going to move Orange Realty onto the buyer side.
That's it.
It's literally all it is.
So here is my promo. January 9th at the Goosehead Training Center, which is on Breaker Lane. We're having Craig Proctor's organization come in and do an educational event for real estate agents that pertains very much to this.
Okay.
Typically in the past, if you've been to one of these Craig Proctor events, we've focused on lead generation. We're switching gears because we're aware of the market that we are in, and we're aware, as you put it, a lot of brokerages are providing leads, or you're buying leads for yourself as a real estate agent. This entire presentation is going to be on converting leads and negotiation tactics, because all of this ties into what we're talking about. There's a lot of buyer's agents that have really held off from selling, right? They've been doing a little bit more order taking, and it's going to be a 3-hour event. It's free to agents. Again, January 9th. I'll get the information out there, but I encourage every single agent, and furthermore, brokers, guys, help me help you and your agency. Like, let's get butts and seats for a training course on lead conversion and negotiating tactics.
How many people total can attend?
We are limited to 50.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, that means if 150 real estate agents say they're coming, we'll fill the room with the 50, right?
Okay. So there's 46. There's 44 spots left because all my 6 are going.
Fantastic. Well, then yeah, we've already got people signing up, but yeah, you got plenty of time. Put it on your calendar. There's no reason. I mean, I look forward to it as well, just because I know every one of these that I've done, they are real estate related, but all I have to do is just change like real estate or home for lending and loan, and it's all transferable.
Perfect. Okay, again, my name is Matthew Kemps. I am the founder of Lone Wolf Realty Group at Spyglass Realty. And if you are looking to buy, sell, invest, whatever it may be in the Austin real estate market, please feel free to reach out. We have our Calendly link down below in the description. Phone numbers will be listed here. Also, do us a favor so more viewers can find this. Please click the like icon. And also do me a favor and click that subscribe button. You'll be notified every single time we have a new video that's released. And I'm going to kick it over to Matt Kirschling.
Yeah, thank you. Matt Kirschling with Gold Star Mortgage. I'm looking for real estate agents right now that are looking to increase their sales skills and their lead conversion ratios. I want you to reach out to me directly. I want to tell you more about the event that we have coming on that you absolutely need to attend.
Perfect. All right, here's where we jump into Lone Wolf's kitchen. All right, so we're going to start with college football. First game we got 7th ranked Texas against TCU. Line is Texas -6. Who do you want?
Texas.
Okay, Texas -6 for Kirsch. I'm jumping on the bandwagon with you. We're on the same. Next game, Ole Miss, ranked number 10 versus Georgia, ranked number 2, -13 Georgia.
Ole Miss.
Ole Miss +13. Let's go. We're on the same side again. All right. Tennessee ranked number 17 versus 12th ranked Mizzou. Line is -1 Tennessee. Who do you want? This is an easy
Tennessee.
one. This is a fucking lock. God,
Careful.
I
Don't jinx
said
us.
that about the Buffalo Bills too. All right. Now let's move to the NFL. Okay. First game, Vikings +2.5. Saints -2.5.
Vikings.
Bingo. God, we're on the same every game.
Yeah, that's unusual.
We might just go 0-8
well, I
here.
feel like the seasons are ironing out, like
Yeah. All right, we got Lions +1, Chargers -1. This opened at +3 though for the Lions. We had a 2-point line move here.
I have buddies of mine that I watch football with that are fans of both of these teams, so I'm going to do this to make it a little more interesting for myself. And I'm going to
Please tell me you're doing what I think you're going to do.
I'm going to go with Chargers.
There we go. Same here. All right. Last game we got here. Giants +10, Cowboys -10. This opened at +5.5, so we have 4.5 points
I
on
thought
the line move.
Cowboys were playing Philly.
Huh, that's this week. We're doing next
Ah.
week. Edit that out.
Sorry. It's like, wait a minute. I'm going Giants.
Giants +10. We're on the opposite side here.
Yeah.
I'm taking
I mean,
Cowboys.
I
you're
think-
on Kirsch.
I think Cowboys will win, but yeah.
Yep. All right. We need those questions. Would you rather?
Oh, shit. I don't have any this week.
Okay, I'll get you some. Let me
All
think
right.
of one. All right. Let's do our questions here on the Would You Rathers. I'm going to put them real estate based. Would you rather work with a total asshole listing agent or a total asshole buyer?
Like buyer, the person buying it?
Like you're helping the buyer buy. He's a total dick.
Yeah.
Or would you rather be working with a normal buyer that you like to work with, but the listing agent is a total dick and you can't get things across?
I would rather work with a total dick buyer
Yep, me too.
than a listing agent that is going to be difficult for two reasons. I mean, one, the buyer, I'm going to deal with them for 30 days. The listing agent, I like to think that I know that real estate is a long game, and I will see you again. Remember that,
Okay.
agents.
We're on the same page on that one. And let's go with okay. Would you rather deal with a increase in inventory with increased pricing or decrease in inventory with it can't happen with a decrease of sales volume? It's where we're at right now.
I'm always going for units over volume. So yeah, I mean, which one is that?
You're going to go with
Where am I going to
increased volume.
close more deals?
If you have increased volume
Yeah,
with increased prices.
yeah.
Yeah, so you'd be on the opposite side. You
Okay.
would go with less. You're gonna have multiple offers you're dealing with though.
That's fine. I can handle
Okay,
that.
so you want less inventory with decreasing pricing.
Yes.
'Kay.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Again, my name is Matthew Kemps. I'm with Lone Wolf Realty Group at Spyglass Realty. Like I said earlier, if you're looking to buy, sell, invest in the Austin, Texas area, please feel free to reach out to us. Again, our calendar link is down below in the description. Phone numbers are right here. Emails are as well in the description. I'm looking to work with a lot of first-time home buyers right now, as this is a time for them to get into the market. I don't foresee as it possible with where rates are at, with where inventory is going, with where pricing is going, for you able to enter the market. This is a time for you that allows opportunity for you, and I'm gonna let Matt kind of jump in on that too.
Yeah, Matt Kirschling, Gold Star Mortgage, real estate agents. Find me. I'm easily Googleable. Email me. Click the links. I want to get you into this training course that starts at the beginning of the year. It's a great time to hone in on your sales skills, call conversions, lead conversions, and like I said, having those conversations as buyers agents about what these commissions actually are and what they look like.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, guys.